guys and girls, I think it would be important for us to be watching the crowdfunding campaign, right? The crowdfunding video that I've uploaded. That's like the latest 2 videos on open learning. One is on the crowdfunding, another one is on Technopreneurial, think like an engineer plus Technopreneurial ecosystem. That one is actually extracted from last semester's video because the other day on a Tuesday when everyone was involved in the Grand Hall event for your internship and everything, a lot of you did not come, right? So I thought, you know, if our video is not ready by then at least that serves as a backup for you to be doing your revision and all that. Real good. All right, shall we start the class?
Sure.
So I guess what we do is that we'll start the class in the beginning of the, we'll just do a little bit of lecture. Your test would cover up till this topic today, all right? And then the second part of it will be on presentations. So for those of you who haven't presented, you may do so. And for those of you who have presented and you feel that you want to stay back, please do so. If you do not want to stay back and you want to leave, well, I leave it to you, all right? You're given the option to either stay back or on your presentation. Some, yeah, not specified, classified. But then again, what you're supposed to be doing also to prepare is that our crowdfunding campaign is supposed to be up by week 6, right? Now it's already week 6. So what you can do is that you really start preparing for your crowdfunding campaign, all right? Go look up at all those platforms of similar projects that they have, the successful ones. Usually what you need to do is to have a story, right? Some written words, some aids of pictures and stuff. That would be good. And then you will be expected to have at least like probably like a 3-minute video, like just a short video to actually tell what your project is about and all that, okay? And then at the same time, for your customers or for your supporters who actually pledge for you, you want to think about the reward that they will get also. You know, if you look at any of these websites, usually you have, let's say like RM5, RM10 and so on, and then with each increase of amount of the thing that they pledge, then you usually offer them something. So how do you go about it and all? It's actually in the crowdfunding video, which that's why I actually asked you to watch, because this lady from Possible, she came last year, but this time around we had Sam that came to speak to us right the other day. But I thought it would be good for you to check out because like she actually did mention a little bit of what you can reward these people who support you. All right. So today we're going to talk about entrepreneurial ecosystem. All right. So that basically is the outline of our lecture today. It's not going to be a very long one. Okay. So you know, we are talking about business skills for engineers, and then over on open learning we have it as Lean Technopreneurship. So just a quick recap: Lean Technopreneurship, Lean from the Lean Startup, and Technopreneurship. Basically, it's about using the technology and entrepreneurship to make a difference by adding value, right? And reaching a new level of performance. So, you know, like whatever ideas that you have presented on, so basically it's to solve a challenge, right? Or to solve an issue. So by that, you actually create or add value to it, to what your project is about. All right. So basically what entrepreneurial ecosystem is about is that it's the environment where your business values are created and delivered. So sometimes we also call it as business model. All right. So what happens is that we actually have this, it's actually from a book. All right. And this model is what they call as the business canvas, business model generation. So if you look at it, right, there are like a few components, right? So you see they have the cost, they have the resources, they have channels, revenue, customers, customer relationship, value proposition, key activities. All right. So our entrepreneurial ecosystem actually is based on this. But what differentiates ours with this is that we actually add another element to it. All right. But let's look at, that's a short video on business model generation. So I would like to show you.
can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas, the tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and blend new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. Channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. Customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. Revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. Key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
So that's what business model generation is about. Is it actually clear? So this is actually based on business model generation, all right? So instead of 9 components, all right, we actually have another extra one in our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Can you guys identify what elements is the additional one? Based on whatever you watched just now? So, customer segments, value proposition. Remember just now in the video, we actually have value proposition. So, every time when you have an idea or project, so there must be a reason of why you want to do the project, right? So, how you make a difference to it, how you create value in solving the issue that you're trying to tackle and all that. So that would be the value proposition of your project, all right? And then you see that just now in the video also, how you're going to deliver the value proposition, all right? Because how you're going to deliver it would be through the channel. So channel would be the medium of how you actually do or run the project, all right? So that's channel is the how, all right? So you have customer segments, basically identifying who your customers are, revenue streams, cost structure, and then we have business activities, resources, partners. Can you guys identify the extra one? So actually, sorry? No, revenue, we have that also in customer relationship. Oh, that's the one in business model generation, right? Yeah, competitors. We actually have competitors over here for entrepreneurial ecosystem. It's not shown over there. So that's like another model thing that's there. Yeah, no, competitors. Yeah. So actually this diagram is based on like a tree thing over here. So they actually, it's like a metaphor, right? So the value proposition is like the fruit of your project. So it's indicated by the apple and, you know, so for the tree and all that, what do you need and all that. And then you see competitors like trying to like X down the tree and all. It's actually like a visual diagram to help you remember the components, right? Because sometimes when you're asked and all that to construct the entrepreneurial ecosystem and all, you are supposed to be able to list down all these elements. If I'm not mistaken, there will be 10 of them altogether, including environment, all right? But we'll talk a little bit more, all right? So first we go on customer segments. Customer segments will basically be who your customers are and then what do they value. So it actually relates back to your value proposition. Value proposition is how you want to create a difference or how you want to make things better for your project, right? So maybe you have a similar project to what other people are doing, but there definitely has to be like a certain difference or certain value to what you're trying to do because you're trying to solve that issue, right? So from there, remember, every time when we have the idea also, what we ask is that who are your customers? So that's identified through here. So for customer segments, we actually have 4 different parts. We can have mass market, niche market, segmented market, and diversified market. So how do we go about mass market? So basically it's like everyone. What about niche market? Can you give me an example of a mass market? Any product, any service? Supermarket, all right. Like, yeah, exactly. There's so many of them, right? So what about niche market? So niche market basically caters to a very certain specific of the group. Example of niche market? Apple products. Are you sure? Nowadays it's like you can see probably back in like 10 years back. Now you're seeing that someone, even a kid is using iPhone, Apple product, right? GoPro. Vegan food. Niche market. But it's not really niche market. Vegan food, I mean, like nowadays there are quite a number, right? Quite a lot of people. Probably sometimes niche market can also be targeted for all these high-end product or whatever. Like yeah, luxury cars and all that. That could be part of the ones that actually cater to niche market, right? What about segmented market? So segmented market is probably something like we can actually we have so many customers, everyone can buy, can purchase something for the same service, but then again, another good example for it would be like the airline. All right, let's say I'm going from KL to London, but at the same time, we're paying the price for the air ticket and stuff, right? So the final end product, everyone still gets transported to London, but then again, remember we have like the classification of class. We have economical class, we have the first class and business class and so on. So that's what we know as segmented market. So with a little bit of added value, yeah, or even sometimes, yeah, it depends. Maybe even like all these TV providers and stuff, you add more stuff, then you get a bigger package and stuff like that. So that's what we know as segmented market. All right. Diversified market came from the word diversify, so it can be of various stuff. Good example would be Taylor's University itself. Look at the programs that it actually offers. Not just engineering, we actually have art and culinary, we have law, we have business, and so on. So all those are pretty much like different on its own, but it's under the same institution, right? So, Parkson. For the products? Yeah. Now when you think about it, Parkson actually sells all these kitchen appliances, bedroom. Do you shop at Parkson then? Not so much. You seem to know so much about Parkson, and also that's why I was wondering if girls like to go there. Is it true? Is it true that girls like to go to Parkson? Kat, is that true? Do you like to go to Parkson? Yeah, it's cool to check out stuff anyway. You make a point there. Right? So everyone clear about customer segment? So customer segment is really like who our customers are, and you can also sort of categorize them in these 4 categories. All right? What about value proposition? So basically, when you come up with your project, your idea, whatever that you want to crowdfund for, because you know this is week 6, and you want to put up your crowdfunding campaign really soon, for those of you who chose especially Possible and all that, I'm quite sure for each of the crowdfunding platform, they usually require around 1 to 2 days to process, even after you have submitted. You want to go through like some QC process before they actually give you a green light to put it up. All right, so make sure you start preparing for that. So value proposition would be what would bring value to your customer and they're willing to pay for it. So it has to be interesting enough. Sometimes your idea can be good, but then when you ask if people are going to buy it, people might not, right? So it really depends You want to make sure, and that's why we actually run the test also of what your idea is about. We run the survey and everything because we want to make sure that your idea is actually going to work out fine, because from there we can know who our customers are, right? So how do you establish value proposition on? It can be based on sometimes probably a newness of the service or the product, right? Like for Ali, are you still, you're working on the platform that you told, right? Yeah. So it's going to be different from what we have on the other websites and all that, because you're going to link all these tutors and lecturers and the students. Yeah, exactly. So you add some newness to it, right, of what your project is about. Sometimes it can be performance also. If you're going to work on something and then you can work on it to actually be of faster speed or anything. It can be a product or whatever. If you manage to bring a project to be of a reduced cost compared to other projects, that can be one. Getting the job done. If you solve certain issue that someone else hasn't settled yet, then that would be good. In terms of design, brand, status, I guess this one can be pretty much related to our phone. All this telecommunication industry nowadays, right? What makes you think that everyone's buying Apple products so much and all? It's also because of the brand, and it's also because of the design and everything, right? Yes, and exactly. The marketing is really, really good. They say every time when they launch a product, everyone, even before they launch the product, everyone will be like queuing up and just waiting to get that, right? Somehow it reminds me of Harry Potter series, but you know, when Harry Potter series was released or whatever, do you guys read that? And everyone will be like queuing up a long line before they actually get to purchase that, even before the bookshop is open. All right, risk reduction. Do you read Harry Potter? I never really liked to read either, but it sort of started a few years back. No, I've never read that. But I know it's managed to secure a huge fan base all around the world, right? Yeah. So channels would be how do we get this product or the service from your project, and how you're going to deliver it to the customer, in what means, all right? So for example, like let's say Taylor's University, how do they make other people know about their existence? So yeah, radio, roads, so all those stuffs that you actually mentioned, even on newspapers and stuff, right? So those are what we call as the channel, all right? What about probably our crowdfunding platform? So it would basically, if you think about it again, everything's on the internet. So basically the medium to which they deliver the value and everything to run their operation is from the internet, all right? So channels is basically how it is. Yeah, marketing, evaluation, all right, purchasing and delivery, all right. How you're going to create awareness of your product, how you do the marketing, and probably if you have a certain product or service, you can even let the customers to try it out and evaluate how good it is, all right, and probably convince them to purchase. The delivery part, so all those are the channels, because it actually brings your product to your customer, all right. So the how is what we know as the channel, all right? So revenue and cost, this should be something quite simple, all right? Revenue, just don't get confused. Revenue is always where your company actually gets the income from, all right? So if you have a project or you have anything, so whatever that you have, the input of the money, that's what we know as the revenue. Or if you actually manage to sell something, all right? So the earnings of that will be what we know as the revenue, all right? What about the cost? Cost is something that to run the operation of your project, so what are the things that you need to spend on? So there goes the money output, all right? So the money outflow will be what we know as the cost. So because we need to spend the money to purchase the products or any necessary equipments or stuff that we need in order to run the operation. All right, so that will be the cost. So when we talk about revenue, we talk about cost, then obviously it's always related to the profit, right? So how we measure the profit, basically if your income exceeds your outcome, right? The output of your money. If you gain more than you spend, the difference between those would be what we know as the profit. All right. So you want to know whether your company is profitable or not. So you look at how much you spend and how much you gain. All right. If by the end of the day you're spending less than what you actually get, you know that it's sort of sustainable because it actually brings you a certain profit and all that. All right. So it can be of a lot of stuff. Can be of asset sales, can be of usage fees. So that applies if you're giving some service for people to use, right? Subscription fees, probably for all these internet provider, TV provider like Astro and all that. Renting, if you own a house or what, you put it to lease and all. So that would be of renting. Licensing, brokerage fees. So really, it can be, these are just some examples, but it can lead to more to that. So it really depends on what you're working on in your project, or depends on the company and all that. Okay? So, what about the cost? Cost also, we have different elements in business model. So low cost, basically, it basically means that everyone can afford it and all, right? So variable cost would be the cost that actually varies, all right? Sometimes we might need to spend more on certain item, and sometimes we need less on the other, and also, yeah, that could be one also. So, and then freemium is just basically like, you know, like sometimes now you actually like subscribe to certain thing, and then after a certain time or what, then if you add up a little bit more of money and all that, then you actually get, what do we call it? You actually get access to enjoy a certain privilege that's offered by the company and all that. So that will be what we know as the freemium. So economy of scale basically is by the scale of the cost, all right? So it's like if you're doing it in the sort of like the global sense or something like that. So how much your thing costs will be based on how much you actually can produce and all that. And so that's pretty much scalable, and also the more your product is actually being marketed out or being sold out, right? So then it actually gives you a playway for the cost in terms of economy of scale. All right. So resources. Resources basically means what are the things that you need so that your company can deliver the value proposition. All right. So for example, if you talk about Subway, for example, that's like the organization. So what do they need in order to deliver their value? So they sell sandwiches and stuff, right? So what are the resources then that they would need? Yes, but what does Subway consist of? Yeah, the ingredients of it would be part of the resources, right? So it could be the human resources also. I mean, like you will need the workers and all, and then electricity, and then you will need also the sandwich, the cookies. Yeah, so a lot of them, whatever that you can think of for your project that you will need to run, so that the thing can function, your company can function. That's what we know as resources, all right? Physical resources, basically all those stuffs like maybe the oven or the sandwich and so on, all right? Intellectual resources, if it's applicable, human resources, and then financial resources, all right? In entrepreneurial ecosystem, you can put example to it, all right? So this is just like a category of what it is. But then again, like whatever that you mentioned just now, that's also applicable as and considered as our resources. Business activities. Basically, what do you do? All right? So that's your activity. If you run a company, and what do you do in the company? So that's what you know as the business activities. All right? So it could be in manufacturing or production. If you open a consultancy firm or something, it doesn't mean that you are producing something, right? You're giving the solution and all that. So that falls under solution provision. You can also be possibly giving out services to people. So it really depends on what project or what company you are and what you do as the organization. Everyone clear about this? So activity is basically what you do in the company to run the business and all that. So it can be physical product, it can be services. All right, can be solution provision. Partnership, if there is any partner that you collaborate with or any company that you collaborate with, to assist the growth of your business, all right? Sometimes you actually partner with someone, right? If I'm not mistaken now, like Air Asia or something also, they actually partner with Cha Time, the bubble tea drink, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? Is it Air Asia? Yeah, no? Right, so they have actually collaborated. So Cha Time is now like really, it's like, it has been international, and guess what? It's actually like a local company, started by a very young Malaysian guy. And if I'm not mistaken, Cha Time, you know the bubble tea that you guys have been drinking? Yeah, so I think it's, the guy is less than 30 years old. Or at most just 30 years old. So it started off with just one franchise, and he brought it from Taiwan, and soon it expands. Look where he is right now. All right. So sometimes, that's like a typo there. Sorry. So strategic alliances between non-competitors. So who can you joint venture with? Who can you collaborate with? Sometimes it's your the organization who's not your competitor. All right. This is competition anyway. So sometimes you can also partner with your competitor to do something, all right? Probably to save costs or whatever. Sometimes you can be sharing like some sort of, probably sharing the cost of running a factory that produces certain similar items that both of you will need. In any way that can save the cost. Joint venture, buyer-supplier relationship. So for example, like Subway, you might need things like the sandwiches and the veggies and the tomatoes and stuff like that. So you have a certain supplier that actually comes to you, and you have to like purchase it from them. So that would be the buyer-supplier relationship. All right. Competitor, basically whoever that competes with you. All right. You need to see who's your competitor and what they can offer. So what you can offer better to them. All right. What are their competitive advantage of you? And what would you do to better yourself so that you can stand out compared to them? All right? So you want to look at who your competitor is. All right? Yeah, with the X. All right? So business environment, you want to see in what environment that you're growing your business. All right? Whether it's favorable or not. So you want to look at what's the prevalent market condition, whether it's positive, negative, whether it's competitive. And sometimes it depends on the nature of your business. You want to look at the legislative system that it operates in, all right? And what are the opportunities in the environment, all right? Or what are the threats, if there's any? If we try to look at a crowdfunding platform, do you know that nowadays crowdfunding platform, even though it's pretty common in the US and the overseas and stuff, it's still sort of new in Malaysia, right? But now if you look at it again, it's sort of really starting to pick up the pace already. So what do you think the business environment is for crowdfunding platform in Malaysia? Sorry? Still new and all that, but I would say that they are in a pretty much of a positive environment also, because when something is new and all that, now that people are starting to really catch up on the idea of crowdfunding for stuff, then you know, you can see that many more people are now turning to crowdfunding as a way of getting funded and things like that. All right. So I would say that they're in a pretty good shape, good environment and all that. Positive, right? Can you name one that's negative though? The one that's, if you run this business, then most probably it's not going to work. Yeah, like of certain product. Probably one example would be of, you know how technology always just goes so advanced and all that. If suddenly decide to sell something that's a little bit old school, and you know that not many people are already using, then most probably your project or your business is not going to work like that, right? So, and another way, remember how we talk about Kodak? You know, the camera? So back then it's not with your phone and just with a press of finger. Back then is the rolling of the film, and I don't know how it works exactly, but I just know that you have to put it in and yeah. So those stuffs, if you suddenly decide to open a shop on that, then I doubt it's going to work, all right? Right? Yeah. So this is how it looks like. There's an example. This is the Apple company, since we talk about it so much. Look at the customer segments. Basically now, probably like Kenji says, 10 years back, it's like, what market is that Ali said just now? Niche market, is it? You mentioned for, is it? So now it's not really niche market anymore for Apple product. You can practically see everyone owning one, right? So that's why we put it as mass market. Revenue stream. So how they get their income from, right? So where? From the product sales, the iTunes, the App Store, Apple Music. So the cost structure will be what they spend, right? What they spend will be on the advertising, probably the servers and all. So partners, since they're on iTunes and stuff, the apps. So all these companies that develop the apps, that would also serve as their partner, all right? Resources, basically whatever that they need. So it would be the offices, the data center, that's the physical resources, right? Basically whatever that we want. These human resources will basically be the people, the personnel that you need. The designer, the programming, intellectual, basically it's related to IP. So if it's a technological based company, that's basically competitors. You know how Samsung is trying to outdo Apple and the lawsuits just going one after another and stuff. So competitor is pretty easy to identify, right? So whichever company that's also producing the same thing and trying to outdo you, that's your competitor. So business activities, the designing of the product, the sales of it, all right? Value proposition, what kind of difference do they make? What kind of value do they create, all right? So that would be probably the sleek product design, legal digital downloads and stuff. So the channels to which they deliver or deliver their value and things. So that will be the machine stores, the iTunes, so whichever way, the medium of it. So that's what we know as the channels. In terms of environment, nowadays, back then, it's still pretty much they're like leading and all that. But now when you look at it, it's quite competitive because everyone will be like releasing their latest product every now and then. So that, you know, every time when a product is released, then someone, you know, eventually, of course, the sales and stuff will be sort of affected and all. Everyone clear with this? Yeah? So, your assignment would be as usual. You know you're on open learning and all that. So make sure you always keep in track with all the videos, activities, all right? When you click on it, not only you can watch the video, but there are also slides. So for your test, right, everything will be based on open learning, all right? So nothing on times or whatever, all right? So always check on your open learning, look at the slides, the videos, whatever activities that you have, please do answer them, all right? So later you will see at your videos and activity on entrepreneurial ecosystem. You can click on it and, you know, like what we have over here, you can choose an example of organization or company and then you can identify it based on the entrepreneurial ecosystem. All right, just like this one. So not just this. So make sure like from week 1 until now, you just make sure you get updated time to time with whatever that we have. Sometimes there's like pre-lecture quiz and then followed with the quiz, and then sometimes, yeah, some other additional activities. So everything's there on videos and activities. All right? So, this is what it is about entrepreneurial ecosystem. Can I get someone to share? Do you know what we always do? Reflection and brain rewiring. All right, before we continue with the presentation later. Can I get someone to do reflection? Whatever you feel, whatever you learn, or whatever you think you shouldn't have learned or you should have learned. Anything, any opinion is taken into account. You're entitled to your own opinion. All right? Anyone would like to share? Reflection and brain rewiring. Farah, you're just smiling at me. Reflection. Anyone? Who did the last brain rewiring?
Kat wants to do it.
Kat, have you done it before? Yeah, if she's done it before, then it's not counted. As in like, Kat, who would you like to do reflection on behalf of us? Ravinder! Ravinder, you're the lucky one. No worry. You can still do a reflection. Yeah, you can do that too. Alright? Come on. Alright. Would you like to tell the camera what's your name and who you are?
My name is Rubinder.
So, reflection. No worry, later you get to choose one to do brain rewiring. Whatever you feel.
Skip to that part straight.
Unfortunately, no. No, it's fine, it's fine. We do not bias against anyone, right? Even if you are late, it's better late than never, right?
True.
Yeah?
So, say something. What do I have to say?
Come on, just something. Probably whatever you feel, whatever at all. What you think you have learned, or what you think you should have learned, or what you think like if you came early, you could have learned that. And
Should have.
you can't just use whatever I said and put it as your reflection. Anything at all?
I'll learn about the assignment I want to do. I think you mentioned everything about the economy instead of times.
Yes. Are you clear about ecosystem though?
I'll go back and see.
Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. Thank you, Rubinder. So now you get to choose who to do brain rewiring. See, that's the power of having volunteered for something. Look at the lucky people.
Yeah, true, Eddie.
Eddie. Eddie, you're the lucky guy. Oh, check out that part. So, Eddie, no worry. Brain rewiring is something that you do every session. So, brain rewiring, do you know what brain rewiring is about? No, that's reflection. It can be also part of brain rewiring. Basically, what is it? 5 things that you're thankful for. Oh, all right. All right. Your petrol? Oh, you just refueled just now? Full already? All right. How much do you spend on that? All right. Oh yeah, I totally forgot about the increased price. Rent shopping? Aww. See, that's supposed to be something we all do. Anyway, do you manage to get something? What are the stuffs that you got? Pair of jeans. All right, no sales whatsoever, right? Oh, seriously? Where do you go to? Oh, really? Oh dear. Okay. Thanks for the input. The 5th one. Had a good lunch. I assume that the lunch came from Pyramid as well. Lucky you. I just had a Subway. So thank you, Eddie, for sharing and all that. So the rest of you know what to do, right? We'll just continue straight away with the presentation. Okay? So for those of you who are willing to stay and give constructive feedback, please do. Similarly, if you think that you would like to go off and learn something new and explore, enjoy your weekend, you're free to do that as well. Sorry? Yeah, the test will cover up to whatever we learned today. The test will be on Friday next week. All right? Is everyone clear about that? Okay, thank you.